Hey guys, it is time for my Monday Nitro review, the episode that aired on September 11th, 1995. This episode took place in Miami, Florida at the Knight Center, and a lot of things have happened in between the 7 days between the first episode and this episode of Nitro. For instance, Vader has gone AWOL. Pretty much, he's left WCW. Also, they show in the beginning, after the introduction with Eric Bischoff, Steve McMichael, and Bobby Heenan, the conclusion of last week's Nitro with Hogan and Hogan and Luger in the ring, and how they're going to meet in the main event tonight for the WCW heavyweight title. So, let's get right to the action after I told you all that. The opening match is the WCW Nitro debut of Sabu. And he takes on Alex Wright. Now, how did this come about? Well, Alex Wright won a match on, I believe it was main event, against Diamond Dallas Page. And they mentioned this before the match started. He beat Diamond Dallas Page in a match to earn the right to face Sabu. Okay, that's very interesting. Oh my God, this is just a sloppy match. There's really not many positive things I can say about this match at all. It is just a real bad match, and I feel bad for Alex Wright, and I feel bad for Sabu. This is your first time on national, on big-time TV, and, excuse me, and you give this kind of a match, it's just really, really bad. So the end of the match is Sabu hits Wright with the Arabian face plant, which is basically him on Alex Wright's shoulders, sort of into a victory roll. 1, 2, 3, Sabu gets the win. Now, after the match, Sabu keeps attacking Alex Wright. He keeps going after him. He then sets a table up on the outside, half-heartedly puts Alex Wright on the table, hits a dive from the top rope that sends Wright through the table, and Sabu, obviously. And because of that, the referee reversed his decision and awards the match to Alex Wright as a disqualification. How wonderful is that? Boy, they're really making strides on that big debut of Sabu. So we come back, and Mean Gene is in the ring. He conducts an interview with Ric Flair, and Ric Flair talks about how he and Arn Anderson, they used to party all the time. They were right by each other, side by side, and how he was Joe Montana and Arn was Lawrence Taylor, and they talked about the 4 horsemen, and he puts the 4 fingers up. While this is going on, Lex Luger comes out into the ring, and this is so bizarre. This really is. Because, Flair tries to talk to Luger, and all Luger says is, "Some things never change." And Flair's like, "Yep, some things never change." And he says that Luger's going to beat Hogan for the title tonight. So, after that fiasco of an interview, we go to our next match, and it is for the WCW United States Heavyweight Championship as VK Wall Street challenges Sting. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, wait a minute, VK Wall Street? Well, if you remember my last review of Nitro, there was a promo from Michael Wall Street. I guess WCW thought it would be funny, very creative, if they changed his name to VK Wall Street. Get that whole Vincent Kennedy McMahon name in there. Now, this is the match during the intro of Sting where we get the infamous Eric Bischoff spoils what happens on Raw tonight. Boy, thanks a lot, Eric. It's not like I'm going to get to this review of that episode and not of Raw for like another 2 years. Anyway, this match, this was another bad, sloppy match, I thought. And it's very surprising that, you know, here's Sting, a very good wrestler. Wall Street's a very good wrestler. And for some reason, this match just did not click with the both of them. But the end of the match, Sting hits the Stinger Splash on Wall Street. Sting goes to the top rope. Wall Street gets up. He hits a cross-body block. Sting does 1, 2, 3. Sting wins. He retains the United States title. So before we get to the next match, we are told of what's going to happen this Saturday on WCW Saturday Night. We get the debut of the Disco Inferno. Woo! Disco Fever. Sorry. Also, we get these hot matches. Renegade against Max Muscle. Big Bubba Rogers against Dave Sullivan with his rabbit allergies. I think that's his name. And one that actually sounds like a good match on paper. Flying Brian against Alex Wright. So now we go to our next match. Scott Norton against Macho Man Randy Savage. And believe it or not, folks, this is a good match. This is probably the best match on this entire episode. And it's told in a very good way. I really liked how the story was told. Norton, as soon as Savage gets in, Norton goes right after Savage. He just attacks him, and he's hitting these power moves, these body slams, power slams, backbreakers, power bombs, bear hugs. And Savage does get some offense in, but most of this match is controlled by Scott Norton. Norton does a very good job, being he's a legit power guy, first off, but, for him to do this with a guy like Randy Savage, who's got years and years of experience, this was a really good match. This told a really good story. And then we get to the end of the match, which, to be honest, I'm not upset about, because this was a good ending to the match. Shark and Kamala come out, try to interfere. Well, Savage sees this. He pushes Norton into Shark, which has Kamala fall to the floor. Norton goes down. Shark lands on the legs of Norton. Savage goes up to the top rope, hits him with a flying elbow. 1, 2, 3. Savage wins with Norton basically stuck, his legs stuck underneath Shark. And then the remaining members of the Dungeon of Doom, Ming and the Zodiac and Kevin Sullivan, they try to run in to get Savage, but Savage rolls out of the ring real quick. Norton has a minor confrontation with Shark, but that's really about it. That really led to nothing. But still, this was a very good match. I really enjoyed it. This told a really good story. And I'm going to say it. This might have been the best match on Raw or on Nitro for this episode. It really was that good of a match. I was really impressed. And then we get the main event. Lex Luger against Hulk Hogan for the WCW Heavyweight title. Now, Bischoff says this about once or twice during this episode. They're calling this match the match of the century. And then there's a fan with a sign while Luger comes out. Luger and Hogan, match of the century. Yep. Yeah, this is match of the century worth material. And I really liked how during this, during the introduction of the match, and even a little bit throughout the show, Bischoff said, who would have thought this match would have even happened? 9 days ago, and Bischoff says this on air, 9 days ago, Lex Luger is working for the WWF. Now he's going for the WCW Heavyweight title against Hulk Hogan. And this is another good match. It is another good match. It's sort of that power versus power guy, but it's not so over the top. It's, good. It's understandable. It doesn't insult our intelligence. Hogan hits a move on Luger. Luger gets right back up and poses. Luger hits a move on Hogan. Hogan gets right back up and he poses. This is a good match. It really is. And I liked the ending to this match again. Luger has Hogan in the torture rack. Referee, is raising Hogan's arm. And Luger drops Hogan before the ref can check for the third time. He's thinking he's won the title. But Hogan's arm is still up. So Luger goes for the pin. 1, 2. Hogan kicks out. Hogan hulks up. Hits the boot. Hits him with a leg drop. 1, 2. And here comes the Dungeon of Doom out to attack Hulk Hogan. All 4 members and Kevin Sullivan. It's a 5-on-1 attack. And then, all of a sudden, here comes Randy Savage and Sting. They're coming from the back to even the odds. Now, what I found very interesting and funny while this is happening, 2 fans jump the guardrail to go check on Hogan and to protect Hulk Hogan from Kamala. They're trying to pull Hogan out from underneath the bottom rope, which is really funny. And you have to catch it if you watch this episode. It's on the right-hand side of your TV screen. It's like a brief second or two. But it's really funny. And eventually, Hogan, Sting, and Savage clear the ring of the Dungeon of Doom. Luger then gets up, and Hogan and Luger are about to have another confrontation. So we come back from commercial. Mean Gene is in the ring with all these guys. And Hogan asks Luger, number 1, why didn't you help us? And number 2, why didn't they touch you when they came to attack Hogan? Ooh. And then Savage, is like, I double want to know, too, why they didn't attack you. And then Sting is trying to protect Luger, saying he's a good guy. Look, we're down 1 guy. This is the perfect team. This is the team we need for the War Games. Luger's the 4th guy. And then Savage brings up, well, they didn't touch Luger, but they also didn't touch you, Sting, and they also didn't touch Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart gets brought into this crazy mix, and Jimmy Hart gets on the mic, and he's like, this is America! You gotta give people opportunities! You gotta do this, you gotta do that. So basically they have a vote of should Luger be on the team. Sting votes yes, Hogan votes no. It comes down to Hulk Hogan's vote. And he says to Luger, if you are a man of your word, if you have our back, you are on our team. You're on the team. And Luger is like, all right, I'll join your team. But under one term, I want another shot at your belt, Hogan. And this blows up into another huge argument in the ring. And that's basically that. That is the end of Nitro. It is so crazy. And then we do get a quick preview of what's going to happen on next week's Nitro. We do get a couple of matches announced before I get into my thoughts on this episode. Paul Orndorff will take on Johnny B. Bad. The Blue Bloods, William Regal and Robert Earl of Eden, will face the winners of a match that's going to take place on Main Event between the Nasty Boys and the debuting American males of Marcus Bagwell and Scotty Riggs. Boy, that's quite a reward for winning a match on Main Event. You get to face the Blue Bloods. Oh, boy, oh boy. So anyway, how do I describe this episode? the first half makes no sense whatsoever. Sabu's match is a disappointment. You know, it just, the chemistry with Alex Wright just did not mix. Flair's interview at first makes sense, talking about Arn. And then when Luger comes, he just goes crazy and makes no sense. And then Sting and Wall Street, their match is a mess. But then the two matches that I thought would not be that good end up being the two best matches on the show. So, at the end, the good does outweigh the bad, but not by much. I mean, Norton, if I had to pick an MVP for this episode, it would be Scott Norton. Norton stepped his game up big time and put in a very good match with Randy Savage. You know, I mean, my God, it was a good match. And then Luger and Hogan had a good match as well. So, all in all, I gotta say this was a good episode of Nitro. This was the last one before we go into Fall Brawl. Now, if you're new to this video and you didn't watch the first Nitro that I reviewed, basically what I'm going to do going through this journey, this trip, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to review the pay-per-views that happen as well. So in the next couple of videos, you will get a review of Fall Brawl 95. Well, I'm looking forward to that one. And I'll be back with the next edition of Nitro, which happens the night after Fall Brawl. So, be very interesting to see what happens. Can Hogan, Savage, and Sting and Luger work together as a team, or is it going to end up like the ending of Nitro where one small word, one small, condition changes everything? It's absolutely crazy, but it was a fun episode of Nitro.